Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, lesser known classic. This is episode number 28, 89, and Doubleshot 2783. Before I talk about the two comics, two things to discuss here, there was a comment recently that I got on one of my Super Center videos asking me, like, God, this video needs polish. And I made a comment on it. I don't know how to edit. And it seems like a big headache to edit. If anybody wants to help me edit my videos, I'm open to it. But please do not describe my videos as god-awful. Please do not describe my videos as that. If they say, okay, it needs polish, fine, I can accept that. But do not describe my videos as awful. Okay? I am recording from a webcam on my laptop. Okay? I don't know who this commenter is at all. I appreciate the fact people comment videos. That's fine. But please, for the love of God, do not think my videos is got off, because what you see is what you get. If anybody wants to help me edit my videos, I am open to it. Otherwise, though, do not insult my videos. Because here's the thing. I have no script. This is all done basically off the cuff. I basically have my personal thoughts on stuff like this. This is how I've been doing it for the past 11 years. Okay? I know I'm going a bit rant here, but this is how I do things. If you want to help me help my videos, fine. That's perfectly fine. But do not insult me, okay? I have friends of mine who basically probably are good editors. Some do audio only because they don't want to be on camera. And that's fine. I'm not going to criticize them on camera. Me, I like being on camera. Which, I don't go by some other name per se. I mean, my YouTube name is my personal name. I have used this name ever since I first started this channel back in 2007. Yes, 2007 is when I started the channel. I didn't put any content in this channel until 2013. The main reason why I did this was show the fact I am very smart at this stuff. That I know what I'm talking about. Okay? I might not be expert on this stuff, but but I do acknowledge if I don't know something, fine. And lucky enough, no one has ever asked me, why don't you swear in your videos like a lot of people do? I don't, for two reasons. Number one, there might be kids watching. Yes, that is a very sensible reason why. And number two, I don't think it's necessary for me to do. If people I know, my friend Tiva, he swears in his videos all the time. Do I tell him don't swear? I tell him to keep it down, yes, but I don't tell him to stop. It's his own videos. He can do whatever the heck he wants. My friend Edgar, he swears too in his videos. Do I tell him to stop? No, because of his own freaking videos. I am not going to tell people to stop swearing because I don't do it. Okay? Alright, so I apologize for the rant. It's just that I don't like being insulted like this at all. Basically describing my video as awful. Like, the resolution of my video is up all the frickin' way. Okay? I cannot adjust it anymore. If I turn out low, it will look really bad. Okay? Alright? My resolution I use for this video, I have used it for quite some time now, is resolution 1280x 720. That's the resolution I use. Frames per rate, 30. And the microphone I use is this right here. I have used this microphone for about 5-6 years now. I've used this microphone, and it's worked wonders for me. I've not had much issue with it. The only issue I've had with this microphone is occasionally my laptop reading it. That's it. Alright, moving on from that, I apologize for the rant, but I had to get it out there. Alright? Alright, so first we're discussing the short-lived comic book that was released from, well, discussing the opening story anyway. It's the first trade to collect this thing. Started in 2009. And in 2006, I discussed how much read this book. This is Red Robin. Yum. It has nothing to do with the fast food joint. And the thing is, the graphic novels for this series have fallen out of print for no reason. I do not know the reason for this at all. It is quite bizarre. It was like that for March. It was like that for Moon Knight for quite a while, where a lot of his trades fell out of print. Though I think in the last couple of years they basically have fixed that with new printings of stuff. Fine. I kind of wish this series would do it, but the alleged rumor I've heard, the reason why they don't do new printing of this series or feature the costume, which is this very costume, mind you, is the alleged rumor I heard of the reason why is because they apparently have to pay a fee to the Red Robin restaurant for this name. Okay, that's the rumor I've heard. Despite the fact this costume is not original DC Comics. This costume is from Kingdom Come, believe it or not. Yes, it was worn by Jason Todd in an alternate timeline Kingdom Come, where he was the first official Red Robin. And then it went to, like, but by the way, in the regular universe, and he did wear it briefly. And then it went to the General, which of course Tim Drake took it from him, and now Tim Drake is the current Red Robin. Now the trade that collects this is quite confusing. It's called the Grail. The Grail, excuse me. Now, the trade says it collects the first 5 issues. Except, here's the thing. The 5th issue is part 1 of a 4-part story arc. So, why in the world would DC do this? Why would they just release a, issue 5? Why would they put part 1 of a story in the trade? Now, yes, it is with Deathstroke as well, but at least there was a reason for it because it felt like a continuation. For this book, there was no reason for it. So, I'm just discussing the first 4 issues here. Now, you're probably thinking, because famous season of the previous book, Red Robin, that just ended, does it do these issues? No, it's Chris Yost. Interesting choice for DC. With Raymond Bolston in the artwork. Now we start off with these kidnapping and then we have Tim Drake as Red Robin beat people up, saving a girl from a kidnapping, and then he comes home, and of course he's very mopey, and here he is with his red motorcycle, which he got when Bill Willingham wrote the book. Now, here's the weird thing. Chuck Dixon, who wrote the book prior to this season, he came back for a second run for the book, he brought back the Redbird, Tim's car. And then for some strange reason, the car disappeared. Unlike the first time when he got rid of it, he actually was mentioned was sold off panel. It was Tim's father, Jack, who recommended selling it because he thought Tim didn't need it, despite the fact that was actually his car given to him by Bruce Wayne. As for why he doesn't have his car, I don't know. It is quite bizarre. And, by the way, I did ask Dan DiDio about why Chuck Dixon drew the book. Okay, according to him, he gave him Batman. He gave him Batman the Outsiders. He gave him that. He gave him the Richard Dragon book, which Chuck Dixon worked on. I think he did this one too. I'm not sure. But as for why he left, I figure he might know the answer to that because he was around that period of time. He has no idea of why he was removed the title. I think he was shocked as everybody else when he was removed. I don't think it was due to him believing the rumors about Chuck Dixon. I highly doubt they were fake rumors. Some people who didn't like him. Dan, from what I could tell, talking to him about it at Comic-Con last weekend, the way he describes it to me is that he had a lot of respect for Chuck Dixon. He didn't disrespect him per se. He wasn't he gave him opportunities. So, for those who might think that Dan did something to do with Chuck Dixon being fired from these books, no, he didn't. He didn't say, like, I never asked him he personally fired him from these books. Like, according to him, that was Batman editors who did that. He had nothing to do with that at all. I figured he was an editor-writer at the time, even called publisher. He might know somebody who may have did it, but he never said who did it. He doesn't know why he was let go. He just was. Now, I didn't push it forward with that because basically I did not think he had to answer the question. I did not think that at all. Like, I had no evidence to support the fact that he may have known. I just asked him about it, and then he acknowledged the whole thing. Like, I talked to him quite lengthy. He was like the only comic writer I talked to a lot at the con. And he managed to answer pretty much all my questions I asked him. Now, when we talk about Dan DiDio, well, this is probably an initiative started by some writer or editor at DC that was not Dan DiDio. He had nothing to do with this at all. Nothing. So Tim basically looks around. He goes to the Batcave, and then he discovers when he gets back, of course, he already knows that Dick Grayson is Batman. This, of course, has just come after the awesomeness that was Battle for the Cowl, written, drawn by Tony S. Daniel, which I met just this year. Awesome me in person, by the way. And he gets upset by the fact that Damian, a guy he does not like at all, despite the fact that he is Bruce Wayne's biological son, he hates the fact that he is in fact Robin. And Damian's being a dick about it. I should point out, though, the way Damian's written in here and what he's written over in Batman and Robin and in Batman is completely different. In Batman and Robin, he's quite interesting because it's written by his creator, Grant Morrison. Batman is actually trained to be Robin. In the case of chronological, of course, it does take place at Battle for the Cowl. But I would say this takes place, I'm saying presumably after the Joe Winnick story arc he did for Batman, which before 28 Stamp took over the rest of the book before the book was relaunched in New 52. So he punched him because basically it's like, and here's the thing. Damian refers to him as Drake because that's his actual birth last name. And then Tim is like, my name is Tim Wayne because he was Dr. Bruce Wayne. Post Infinite Crisis. He was that a few years prior to this. And he's upset by this. So now I had heard describe this opening issue as him hitting his head against a wall. No, he's of course he's upset the fact he's not Rob anymore, obviously. Which of course, not the first time basically the whole mantle was taken from him. First time this happened is when he quit. Of course, that from what I heard later on that storyline was rushed because of War Games. That's why. And I didn't know this. Now, I may have had some of the ideas of War Games. I thought it was an okay story. It was put together fine. But I didn't know this until I saw a video from Sal's about this. So, apparently War Games was a DC editorial mandate that had to make the Batman comics like Batman Begins, where basically the whole purpose of the storyline was to destroy the Batman family and kill Stephanie Brown. The writer of Detective Comics was brought in because he hated Stephanie. And then, of course, he had her murdered in the storyline because he hated Stephanie. And then he left. And here's the thing. He was an actor. So then Tim puts on his costume. His costume goes on, like, there's a limo blowing up. And, of course, he's investigating all this stuff. And, by the way, one thing I noticed, though, about Tim wearing this outfit, the way artist draws him, is that Tim is very tall. Like, it seems as though at this point he had, I'm guessing he's probably about 19 at this point in time. He looks sort of like, oh, possibly Bruce might be alive. Now, I heard someone describe like him just literally banging his head against the wall and basically believed that Bruce was alive. I read this, I'm like, no, that's not what happened. He did not bang his head against the wall. He banged his fist in the wall. Because his angry Bruce Wayne is actually, well, he was dead at this period of time. Despite that, according to readers, he was actually very much alive. Then we cut to this bald girl, and then the issue ends with her where she's apparently made contact with Ra's al Ghul. Yep, Ra's al Ghul is here. Yeah, this sets up basically the whole Grail story arc. Yeah. And, well, oh, by the way, this is set before the launch of the Batgirl title because of something happened in the issue. Plus, I love this cover here. We have, well, Tim Drake in his 1 year later costume, and you had Stephanie in her spoiler costume. On this, like, in daytime it's Robin, and nighttime it's Red Robin with the League of Assassins. And then we have, like, a sniper trying to take out Tim. Then you have Tim basically beating the guys up. And then we see Alfred worried about where Tim is. Oh, by the way, during this period of time, briefly, Dick operated the Batcave, and then he sealed the Batcave. He decided to close the Batcave and moved it to the Bat Bunker, which he operated that place for a little while, and then the Batcave was reopened thanks to Batman's return just a year later. Yeah, they brought this up in Outsiders, and it's brought up in Batman. So, yeah, Tim drove his motorcycle, and then he apparently set up his own command center in this abandoned warehouse. Yes, Tim has a base operating. He currently keeps his Red Robin suit, which, by the way, he stole this suit from the General. Yeah, he stole it from him. I'm not sure where the General got it from because the book never explained where he got the suit from. Because the first time the suit ever appeared in regular comics that wasn't Kingdom Come was when Jason Todd wore it. Now, either he gave up the costume after Countdown, or at some point, I'm not sure. So, that's him fights more people here. And there's like a bullet takes people out. And moral execution. And then the issue, then we have him kicking some random person who turns to be Spoiler, who's also drooling. Well, that's because she got kicked. Now, Tim had told her, now, he still loves her, but he does not trust her in the Spoiler costume. Well, this is why I mentioned this is set before the start of the Batgirl title by Brian Q. Miller. Because here, she's still Spoiler. And then you have the launch of the Batgirl title, where she is Batgirl. Yes. And then he basically just tosses her aside, and then he agrees to work with Ra's. And that's the end of issue 2. So it's like one more time. My guess is probably Chris Jost probably did that. Because either that the title wasn't ready yet, or probably was released, and they probably... Because people reading this probably at the period of time probably were confused of why is Stephanie spoiling this book and yet she's Batgirl in her own book. And it's my personal theory that this opening story arc takes place before the opening story arc of Batgirl, Volume 3. Yep, and then you have Tim. I'd like to do Red Robin. I think it's just Tim as Red Robin. And then he fights this random warrior. And then he goes to the grave of Bruce Wayne. And then Cassie Sandmark shows up from the Teen Titans. Where she had to comfort him. And he's like, no. For me. Yeah, so then we have like a board meeting. Of course, they wonder. Now, the thing is, at this meeting, they don't question where Bruce Wayne is, because the whole thing related to this is not shown in this title. basically anything related to Bruce Wayne in public. I'm like, where's Bruce Wayne? Well, that's basically explored in Streets of Gotham, where you have Hush having plastic surgery to make himself look like Bruce Wayne. And that's the plot thread that's explored in that book. That's the whole thing with Streets of Gotham. It's basically a Hush book. But it does feature Dick Grayson as Batman, and I think Dane makes occasional appearances in the book. And the book also had a backup feature. First it was Manhunter, then it was Two-Face and Ragman. The book only lasted 20 issues. It was not that long of a title. And of course, Tim fights the other guy, and then fights the ball girl, and then Steph. Then I think it's Stephanie. Looks like Stephanie. So it looks like some random blonde girl looks like other guy Stephanie, where she is about to take a stand for some trial. And then her blood comes out of her nose, it's black. And then we have the prosecutor collapse, and there's this webbing coming out of his hand. And then it's shown that there's this guy in the audience who's covered in web. And then randomly we see Tim fighting Anarchy. And then a flashback of Jason Todd as Batman. Of course, you have Tim talking to Cassie. And then of course, Tim put like an iron mask. Yeah. Of course, he believes Batman's alive. And then, of course, she calls up Dick, basically tells him he tried. And then he flies overseas to, get this, he goes to Baghdad, which is interesting, given the fact that I believe at the time this came out, I think the U.S. was still occupying Baghdad at the time. So then, of course, he's meeting with people from the Raz's group, and then we conclude the storyline with issue number 4. I'm sorry for the cough, but it's a light cough. It comes occasionally, so I apologize for it. So, moving on from that. Yeah, so, by a really cool cover, you have Tim fighting Dick, and the Batmobile is the Batmobile from Batman and Robin, the Grant Morris book, which is awesome. And then, of course, okay, so we tried to have Stephanie talk to him. That didn't work. Tried Cassie to talk to him. Didn't work. So, now it's Dick talking to him. And, of course, basically, then we have a U.S. soldier pull a gun on him. Yes, a U.S. soldier pulling a gun on Tim Drake. And then, of course, he has his bodyguard representing Wayne Enterprises, who has a branch. Like, I'm not really all that surprised. Wayne Enterprises has got a branch in Baghdad, of all places. No surprise there. So basically, then we have, I think this is Tamra. Yes, I think this is Tamra, who's looking for Tim. And then they find a landmine. It's mostly with some Iraq stuff. And they have Tim in his costume. Then we have Dick and Tim talk to each other. And then they start fighting. And then he just leaves. And then we have Tim come across a cave, which has a bat symbol on it. Which, okay. Like, I don't think that was drawn by some random person who was local. I think Batman drawn that. And we have them fighting, and then him throwing his Red Robin shurikens at him. Then he drives away, and then the bodyguard he's with gets stabbed by the Widower, this brand new character. Tim fights him, and then of course he collapses due to stabbing, and then of course that ends with a cliffhanger. I'm like, that is interesting. I really kind of enjoyed this story arc. I don't think the story was bad, so I'm gonna give it roughly a 9 out of 10. Yeah. Though I think DC should correct the trade there for that one. Next up is a book that's interesting. That was collected in trade, believe it or not. It is a miniseries done by one of the co-creators of Bloodshot, Kevin Von Hook. It's about for the Cowtie. It's Oracle the Cure. I hadn't read this book in years, and then I read it again. And I'm like, man, this book is so confusing. So we have apparently start out with Barbara just hitting something, and then where apparently she has smashed a computer. Actually, she smashed her wall because she would put wires in. Because Birds Parade disbanded, so this is basically what she did afterwards. And then she just does that. And then she proceeds to strip butt naked. And what's the reason for this? To have her take a shower. Yep. Take a shower. Yep. And then we have Wendy Marvel in bed. She can't wake up because apparently she's in a coma. And then we have Barbara talking to her father. Have dinner with him, which is nice. Then we just have this other person who's a friend of hers talk to her. And then the first issue we have look like the calculator shows up. Yeah, it's a calculator. And then we have just chatting for a while. And then the camera comes on at the end of the issue. And then we have this virtual reality stuff, which is something they explored in the Birds of Prey book. And then the book ends with this friend of Oracle's being beheaded. Yes, beheaded. You're like, what the heck just happened? Answer, well, she was murdered. And then we have the next issue, which of course has this really odd cover of, let's have a close-up of top and show right through her shirt. That's your cover. Yeah, let's show up the fact that Barbara Gordon is hot. Now here's the thing. Readers have known that for decades, so we did not necessarily remind her she's hot. And then she goes to Chinatown the very next issue, where she gets randomly attacked by random thugs who apparently decided to steal her stuff. And it looks like they're about to do something to her, and then she's able to fight back. And she's able to kick this guy because her legs don't work. And then she gets bonked in the head. Which, one of the guys in the head, I think she kills him. I'm like, what? Yeah, Barbara just killed somebody. Then she goes back to this place. Goes to virtual reality. The calculator does his own thing here. They, of course, fight this weird robot because it's hacker stuff. And, of course, we also have, in the original printed issue, basically had a preview of Anime Last Names, which I've never read this title, by the way. Never read it. I really wish I would because it was looking interesting. And then, of course, the final issue is System Failure, which you have Barbara leaned over and looked like she's got blood on her shirt, and it looked like she's got mascara. And of course, you have computers on her face. Then we have it's called A Matter of Life and Death. Then we have the robot just show up. The calculator just apparently makes something. Yeah, he just makes something. And of course, Barbara has some tea, gets back her chair, I think off the couch. Deals with a dog. Deals with the robot again, beats that. And then, of course, we see the calculator check out his daughter. Wendy Marvel will use a device to supposedly wake her up, and then she wakes up completely randomly. And then, of course, you think, is she better? No, she can't walk. And then the calculator gets arrested for murder. And, the calculator, he gets arrested. And Wendy has no idea what the heck is going on. And it felt as though, reading this book again, it felt as though this book was complete randomness. Yeah, I have nothing against Kevin Von Hook. But you read this book and you're like, what the heck was this book? No, seriously, what the heck was this book? I love the artwork, but man, this book is not that good. And by the way, this book is in trade, believe it or not. They collected it along with the final 2 issues of Birds of Prey. And then here's the thing. Right after this, we had 2 titles launched right after this miniseries concluded. A new Batgirl title, obviously, and a new Birds of Prey title, and they're by Gail Simone to the book, which I'll discuss that another time. and she would not do the whole book. Don't know the reason for that. Maybe because she was doing Batgirl. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But when I discuss Volume 2, that'll be it for Birds of Prey. What's the plan to replace Birds of Prey when I finish it? The plan is to replace it with Steel. First starting with the volume with the original Steel, Hank Haywood Sr. He's the first one. And then I'll do Volume 2 and then 3, and I'll be done with the title. Supergirl, which we'll discuss that another time. So, now what's the place of Red Robin when I finish this book? The book replacing this one will be Superboy Volume 4, which I'm very much looking forward to discuss that title. So I would say of these two books, I think Red Robin is really good. Oracle is not that good. I mean, I love Kevin Hook's writing in Bloodshot, but man, excuse me, it felt as though, like, you read Oracle the Cure, it feels as though the artwork is more interesting than the actual story itself, because it feels like sheer randomness with this book. Yeah. And I'm like, was it Kevin's idea, or was the artist's idea to open up with, oh, let's have Barbara strip butt naked to take a shower? Oh, and also note the fact that someone's trying to call her and her voicemail box is full. Who the heck has been calling her? That's a good question, and a question that's never answered. By the way, the whole thing with Wendy Marvel, that's continued in the Batgirl title by Brian Q. Miller, where she is wheelchair bound for that entire book. Yeah, and she becomes a supporting character in that book. Barbara herself will there take a leadership of the Birds of Prey once again with the relaunch book, which is a much more expansive team this time, thanks to Brightest Day. Yes. Which is going to be interesting. So, that's going to be pretty much it for particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, notifications, and tune to the like button. You're thinking, wow, half an hour for discussing roughly about a handful of comics? Well, there's a lot to talk about. That was simply the reason for it. Okay, so next up, another comic corner. But a bit more comics, but hopefully not a lot of time this one. So I'll see you all next video. Bye.